Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Crew First Culture Podcast. This is Jeremy, and I brought some great friends along with me today and going to have a conversation that I've been honestly looking forward to for a while, maybe for selfish reasons, just because I either need to work some things out or I need to hear some perspectives of others or just want to hear from some good people doing some good things on it. So anything else being said, we got my good friend Ljay Geist. How are you, LJ?
I'm good, Jeremy. Doing good, man.
Good deal. And what my family or who my family refers to as my work wife, we got Justin Mann. What's up, Justin?
What's up?
So you guys, I got a text over the weekend from Justin saying, "Hey, I think we just became best friends." And so you guys met up at Les Lukert, which we'll get into more at the end. I want to kind of touch on a few things before we stop after we talk, but obviously a little bit of a connection there. Both guys with very like-minded approaches to the fire service, and so I wanted to get you on and kind of let you both tear into what we're going to talk about. Sound good?
Yeah, man. Just to clarify for the audience, the real reason for this little podcast right now is just for Jeremy to clarify that I can't take his best friend away from him. He said he was here. I was like, all right, cool. We'll share.
Yeah, LJ, I sent him a text. I think I told you, but I sent him a text saying, "Hey, I knew him first. I was friends first." So, but that's all right. I think there's enough LJ to go around. We're here because I am struggling with something that has really been a growing experience for myself. So I am somebody that has been on both sides of it, and that's just taking responsibility for your part. When, for anybody that doesn't know, Justin's been with me at our current station for what is it? Is it 5 years now?
Yeah, just over 5 now.
5.5. And that's been it's been an amazing experience in life and growth and failures and wins and losses, for sure. We have been through a lot trying to change the culture and do some good things there. And part of a lot of those losses, part of a lot of those failures came because at times I wasn't taking responsibility for what was going on. I found it very easy to blame the Chiefs or another crew or whatever for low morale, or just on and on and on. You can go for days trying to find people to blame. And so I know what it's like. And that being said, that's why I want to have these guys on to spread the word to people out there that there's a better way. And if we're depending on our administration or politicians or whoever to build us up, to develop us, to lift our morale, to do any of these good things, build our culture, we're failing, because we need to be doing that ourselves. And just kind of what spurred it on even more is I've been trying to put out some posts here lately of just thoughts that come out, and there's always people that want to just keep pointing back to there. It's the pay, it's the benefits, it's the administration, on and on and on. And so I just want to share the message that we have a lot of control in what is going on and the morale and attitude and everything else. So that being said, what do you have to start us off with, LJ?
This is something, and Justin got to hear it when he said it in my class Saturday morning. But I'm a firm believer that the company officer sets the tone for the day, every single day. And it doesn't matter what kind of SOGs or SOPs or BS is coming down from the top end. As company officers, you set the tone every single shift, because how you act when you walk through the doors is how your crew is going to act as well. Whether that's a good attitude, whether it's passion, lack of drive, wanting to go out and kick ass for the day, the company officer sets the tone for the day. And what you said, you hit the nail on the head perfect. We get so caught up in things with admin and what's going on in levels way above us that it affects our mentality on service. And the people we serve don't deserve that. They deserve the very best from us. And so in order for us to really drive culture, the company officer has to start it. And as firefighters and senior men and women, we have to help build that culture as well. Because it's not all just on the company officer. They set the tone for the day. But as firefighters, we've got to dig deep and we've got to go do work and we've got to have some fun. Because, man, this is still a blue collar job and it's a fun job. And especially when you have a good crew that likes to pull pranks on each other and have fun in and around the firehouse in between calls, you know, that kind of stuff, you can't replace that. Oh, yeah. That's a special thing in the American Fire Service, and it's a special thing on my ship. And we've got to quit getting caught up in the BS and the politics of our organizations and our departments. And we've got to walk through our doors every morning ready to serve our people and have fun with the people we serve with. And I think when you let those walls down a little bit, that's where those cultures are built.
It's good stuff. What about Justin?
Man, as you were speaking earlier and LJ talking and through his class and everything, man, a lot of times I revert back to something. I had the opportunity going up to a leadership symposium deal conference up in, I think it was in Portland, Oregon, man. And it was early on in my career. I had that opportunity going up there. So it's been at least 10, 12 years ago. But I had the opportunity to sit in and listen to, his name's Kenny Thomas. And he was one of the guys from Black Hawk Down, was boots on the ground down there. I mean, lived it. He's such an amazing storyteller for one, which is an amazing thing. But his story and everything else, and he wrote a book and it's called Get It On. And if you haven't heard of it or haven't read it, man, or if you haven't seen him or have the opportunity to go see him and listen to him, man, it is super motivational. But his one thing that resonated with me was, if I see it, I own it. And it's top down, and it's whether it's the crappy hose load on the rig, or it's trash in the bay floor, or it's a guy's attitude at the station, whatever it is, like just own it as a crew. Like I said, man, we don't have to, what's going on up top has no effect on our daily lives in that firehouse. Like, it truly does not affect us. You can let it, of course, if you get into it and you want to get negative about it and it's all BS and this and that, but truly they hardly ever come around, you know? So it's like, just show up, do your job, have a great crew, and be humble, man, and learn from each other and everything else. But just that little lesson of, if I see it, I own it, man, it really does play true from, top down. So just don't walk past something that needs to be addressed. And then, of course, anytime we walk past something or we let something slide, then of course typically it's a snowball effect and it keeps growing. And then eventually it's, it was funny because in LJ's class, he said that there should never be anybody like reprimanded basically at the dinner table, breakfast table, at the table. That's a place for communion, fellowship and everything else. Nobody should ever be. And I'm not going to tell you stories beyond that, but it's just funny because sometimes it gets so intense there, and or the bullshit gets so thick at the table that somebody sometimes has to be called out. But it wasn't necessarily being reprimanded. But it is funny that story, because all I could think about is a couple of instances that we were all around the table. Everybody's being honest. Everybody's being real. And it was like, hold up, you got to put yourself in check real quick.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Did you share that story with LJ?
No.
It's funny you bring that up, and I totally agree with you, LJ. And it's funny because I never want to intentionally do that at the table. I don't want to be that formal leader. But like he said, there has been several times where it's just happened. It's happened organically, and maybe because I don't have as much self-control or what, but something hit a hot topic or a hot button with me, and it just came out. And the last one was was bad. I was very intense, I would say, very heated and voice raised and everything. But just like you said, I got to that level because it was affecting my crew. The things that were being addressed was affecting my crew. It was somebody that was not being a part of the team. It was hurting the culture, not helping it. And so over and over and over trying to get that fixed, it wasn't happening. And so something just finally hit it, and that's where it was. So I mean, I totally understand that. And it's funny that, you know, that you brought that up, but
And I
you
think,
said something else. Go ahead.
I think something, and just to clarify, you know, first of all, with what you and Justin are talking about, welcome around a bunch of type A personalities within a firehouse. I mean, that, you know, those shift conversations are certainly going to happen. And I think with what I was trying to say is, you know, you're going to have those conversations at the dinner table, and because we've all got our different views on how things should be, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with having those, maybe some of those heated conversations around the dinner table. But the one thing that we need to steer away from at the dinner table is a company boss or chief, deputy chief, battalion chief come in and just start ripping people's asses when we're sitting around eating dinner.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because that's,
Oh yeah.
you know, that's, and there's a big difference there, man. Our shifts,
Oh yeah.
we get on some, every firehouse that sits and eats dinner together, every tour, we all have those heated conversations at some point or another throughout a tour, throughout the month, throughout the years. That's going to happen because of who we are and how we're designed. But there's a difference between doing that and being able to get from the dinner table and laugh it off, or go talk about it out in the engine bay or something, as opposed to someone just getting their ass reamed for a mistake they made earlier in the day on the fire ground. Big difference there for sure. One of them, a lot of times those heated conversations can actually build culture and you get to know one another a bit better.
Oh yeah.
Those chewings that take place at the dinner table, man, that's not the time or the place, and it just absolutely kills morale extremely quickly. So I just wanted to clarify on that.
No, and I understand that.
Bit.
And I, you know, that last thing you said there, that's kind of afterwards, I believe on, you know, when I got home or whatever the next day, I sent a message to the other people involved, not the one I was dealing with, but the other people involved, basically. And I can't remember how I worded it, but I wanted to kind of apologize for how I handle it, but also point out that I hope that you see that what we're creating here is something I'm willing to fight for. And that's what was going on there. You know what I mean? Just trying to give a little bit of context to what happened, and that it wasn't just, like you say, a boss coming in for the purposes of doing that. And so I get that. Justin, you said that you talked about it not being a top-down type mentality or way to fix it. And that's something I've been thinking a lot about lately as well. You hear, you know, people referring to it as it comes from the top down. You hear people referring to it as water boils from the bottom and it starts from the bottom. And I get those perspectives, but I truly feel like they're both of them are wrong. I feel like it's an inside out thing. We all have to start from the inside and of each of us, and just spread it out personally, every person, and wherever that is. You know, if you're a formal leader, then it is going to come from the top, just because of where you're at. If you're a informal leader, a firefighter, or somebody like you, Justin, that is basically kind of in the middle, you do some writing out for me when I'm not there. You're an informal leader when I am. It wherever you're at, it's got to come from the inside. You've got to figure out what it is that's wrong, fix it, and then start taking responsibility and do what you can to do your part. And then it just goes from there. Do you guys kind of feel the same way, or do you feel very strongly that it's either one of the two, top down or bottom up?
Go ahead, Justin.
Only what comes to mind if you talk like if you push that hard, water boils, it comes from the bottom, everything, that whole mindset. And it's awesome to see that happening. Like a bunch of young guys fired up, the analogy would be that is that you have a bunch of younger guys on the department that are freaking just getting after it and hard charging, and they're creating and wanting to go do everything and anything they can. But then if you think about that pot of boiling water, like if you have a chief level or battalion chief, whatever it is, think about the environment that possibly that's creating. If you're not honing that and you're not, doing it the right way, a lot of people claim, if those hard chargers are going out and getting training outside and doing all this stuff, that they're gonna be freelancing and the department's not going to know what the heck they're doing when they're on the fire ground. There's a lot of things. So there's a lot of aspects to if you are hard charging, if you're doing the things you want to do and everything, there is an avenue to take it up, just like there's an avenue to bring things down. But you think about that environment, because I've seen it happen definitely within our own department, is a lot of guys getting really into the job and the upper level not realizing what's going on and or how to truly manage those people to get the most out of them. Because honestly, it's just like they don't know what they're out there learning. For one, they don't have the opportunity to go out there and do that, I guess, or be boots on the ground type deal. But it's kind of, you can create a very negative, or I guess you could say an aggressive mindset that some people just don't understand at the top. See that coming up from the bottom. So, but of course, top-down leadership is always amazing if you have, but people are not going to agree always on leadership styles and what admin wants. It's going to be evolving door at the top. Your chief's going to be there. He might be there 3 years. He might be 5. He might get fired in 1. We went for 7 years with just a kind of revolving door of chiefs, one after another. It was about 2 or 3 year stints. And then you never truly, if you let that top control you and you feed from them, you're going to be in dismay the whole time. You're going to never know what's expected of you because it's constantly changing. You have to have your own identity at your level and or your shift and stick to it and not let that, you're always going to have to conform to something between a new chief, a new operations chief, an admin chief, whatever it is. But you're going to have to, if the rock that you have that you're standing on, if we want to be like, go kind of biblical and everything, like what is your foundation? Because the top's going to change. So what is your foundation? If you plan on being a captain the rest of your career or a driver the rest of your career, like that top's going to constantly change. So how are you going to approach it? What foundation do you have for each new chief, each new battalion chief that comes in? So, stand on that foundation, man. It'll take you through, and you guarantee you'll be a lot happier all throughout your career for sure.
Yep. About you, LJ, anything?
I think Justin said a few things that were pretty solid. I think we need to have it from the top down and the down up to make this work. Because if we're solely dependent on the top down, then in reality we're going to be failing the people who are coming on to our fire departments in the future. Frank Viscusco said something last October when I listened to him here in Kansas. He said something that really resonated with me pretty hard. And it said negative up, positive down. And I got to thinking about that quite a bit. I'll bring up the dinner table again, or when we're doing shift change and we're all sitting around the island in the day room drinking coffee. But how many times do we have new people that are their second, third, fourth, fifth shift out of the academy, or the 3 or 4 month or 6 month person that they're sitting around drinking coffee with us before we go do rig checks, and we're just sitting there just being negative around this person. Man, what kind of culture and what kind of morale are we build for our organizations? We're bad mouthing the chief, we're bad mouthing battalion chief or lieutenant or something that was done. By us doing that within our own firehouses, we're absolutely killing our culture. Company officers and senior people have got to do a better job of making sure the positivity goes down to our new people and that the negative BS goes up. because we don't need that within our firehouses. And it's not all rainbows and skittles, guys. It's not. We know that, but we have to do a better job of making sure that we're keeping ourselves aligned mentally, and that we have the right aspects when it comes around to building those cultures and building that morale within our firehouses. I'm downtown, so I'm down. I'm with all our admin and our chief and training chief and fire marshal. Everyone's at my firehouse, and we do a really good job of squashing out that negativity, and it's really important. It's really important. And so, to kind of answer your question, as far as the leadership aspect of it, we've got to have it going both ways. I truly believe that. Guys like Justin, who I would consider a senior man, he's got to be doing his part to help you, Jeremy, to create future leaders. And then Jeremy, you've got to be helping Justin, get ready for the next step. And I hope, and Jeremy, if you ever want to go further, I hope there's someone who's helping you. But it takes all of us to make each other better, especially when it comes to leadership and promotions. So that's kind of what I'd say to that, if that answers your question in a kind of rabbit hole.
I mean, the answer is your opinion. However you feel, that's how it is. But I agree with both of you, and it's basically we're saying the same things. It's just got to be done. Period. That's the bottom line. And kind of what you were talking about, LJ, is, and I'll just go into a little bit of a storytelling on myself, is the times that I talked about originally that I was that person that was negative and was the person that put the blame on everybody else. It was around the infamous 2020. That year, I've said it over and over again. It beat the crap out of me. It beat me down. It sucked the life out of me. And that was a bad time for me as a leader. I allowed all of that to happen. I was the one at the table, not only engaging in the conversation, but leading it, just sharing all the inside turmoil I was facing with everybody. And that's the culture that I was creating right there. That is, by me doing that, that's who we became. And I had nobody to blame but myself, obviously, because I was the one sitting there doing it. And once I finally realized what was going on and what needed to change, it took a long time to work that out, to get that out of the system. And so that's something that I want to maybe challenge everybody out there, that if that's who you are, if that's where you're finding yourself right now, you can break out of it. You can change the rhetoric or whatever you want to call it. It's just going to take a lot of work, but it's worth it, because you're not ever going to achieve an environment that you want to be a part of, let alone anybody else, if that's the way it's going. And, we see it all the time at shift change. You get people that are just, man, they can't get over things. They just can't. And, I kind of see, because we've been there, but at the same time, it's like, why are you letting something that you cannot control ruin your entire day? And that's exactly what's happening. That's not stretching it. And then I'm so thankful to see, us sit down and us talk about the same situations or the same things that the others were struggling with. And we might be frustrated for a little bit, but the goal is always to find a way out of it. Before the conversation is over, we always want to find a way out of whatever negative feelings we are feeling. And if the only answer to that is, well, there's nothing we can do about it, but there's also nothing that anybody else could do about us having a good day, then that's it. That's all that needs to happen. So a couple things there that I just wanted to say, that, it's not just the checked out people that, the slugs and all that that can slip into this slump type, mindset. Anybody, but you can get out, and it just takes somebody sometimes saying, hey, I've been seeing a little bit weird, off. You seem like you're not enjoying whatever it is. Let's see what we can do to change that. See what we can do to change the atmosphere, the attitude, and all that. But I just feel like that's all of our responsibilities. The more people we have around us that are willing to pull that rope when we're not pulling it is going to help the situation out.
That's called a mentor, in my opinion. And sometimes those mentors aren't even, not even within your own firehouse. I mean, sometimes those mentors are guys that are on the job. You're one of, for me, Justin became one this past week of getting to know him. Guys like Justin Lorenzen. I've got guys, Tim Selman, Corley Moore. I've got guys that I can call on because they're mentors. And when I get in those slumps, it's so important that you have those people that you can call, or those people are just like you said, hey man, you got to get together. And that's really important to have those people behind you that want to push you to greatness, because if we don't have them, those slumps we get in, we're going to be in them a lot longer than we want to be. And we don't even realize we've been in them for so long. But we've got to have those people that we can talk shop with and that will be honest with us, and not only in the firehouse, but in life as well. So you'll get some mentors.
Yeah, 100%. Who are you surrounding yourself by? You know what I mean? Like, who is your circle? Who's going to pick you up when you're down? Because just like, I mean, you can ride the high as long as you want and as long as you're engaged, but there's going to be a time, whether it's life events or just things at the department that start dragging you down, and they will. And depending on, you might be sent out to a station that just doesn't have those guys, man. And so at that time, you've got your other guys, whether it's within the department, around nationally, and that you can stay in contact with and just feed off of those guys. And hopefully, just like LJ big in his presentation, is being relational, man. Be with these people, get to know these people, and not just people that are on your department, in your community. I mean, build a relationship with people that people that you see on a daily basis. We go to work a third of the year. Okay, awesome. Do we see some of these guys off duty? Yes. Hopefully we're engaged with them, going golfing, doing things, and we keep that brotherhood alive. But beyond that, we've got people in our community, random sports teams that our kids are on, and the parents and those. Get engaged, get to know these people. And you're just going to make relationships, you're going to make friends, and they're going to be around. And it might be just that time that you're out on a volleyball tournament with a bunch of family that you need somebody to pick you up. So just, be engaged with people. The phones, everything, it's so disheartening to see and watch. You go to eat and you see a family of 4 and the 2 kids have iPads and parents are both on their phones. Like, it's crazy. Like, you're just sitting there and you're looking over there. And of course, it's not easy. Your kids are always going to want that, probably just because of the lifestyle and everything that they're going to grow up in, the technology, everything that's around them. But it's simply saying no, cooking dinner at home with them, just like at the firehouse, man. I get more out of cooking dinner at home with my children and my wife than I do anything. Like, that is huge one-on-one time with everybody. And then instilling in them, like, we don't just get up from the dinner table. We sit there, we might talk a little bit, and then everybody stays in that kitchen till everything's cleaned up. Like, it didn't, I get to go get on the iPad time. And being a fireman, we kind of bring the firehouse rules home. It's like, well, I cook, I ain't cleaning, but I'm not going to go sit on the couch and watch TV and disengage. I'm going to sit at the bar. I'm going to sit there and we're going to talk. Cause that's one thing my wife, like, I had a bad habit of. I typically cook dinner a lot. And then as soon as dinner is over, I'd get up and kind of go away. And she was like, it'd be nice if you just would sit there and talk to me while we clean up. I was like, oh, didn't even think about it, but she called me out. And that's what we need people to do. Hold us accountable, call us out, especially if you have a need, seek it.
Yeah. And that's, as we've talked through some things, I've been just writing down some notes of points to touch on here and there. But one of the things I was going to bring up at some point was, what do you say to the firefighter that is fairly new? You both have mentioned a little bit of this situation, but they find themselves in a place that they don't have leadership that's engaged. They don't have senior people that are willing or just whatever. They're not helping them progress through their career. They're nothing. They're not adding any value to their lives. And just kind of, what do you say to them? And I think I would say, and you both go into whatever, but I would say we're probably all going to say the same thing, is if you can't get that where you're at, or even if you can, you got to get out. You got to get outside of your department and make connections like you're both talking about. Make those relationships outside of your department and have people that are like-minded away from what you're dealing with, because it is, I would say it's been something that has really saved my career, just being able to see that everybody else is dealing with the same stuff, being able to talk to people that are like-minded and that have similar but different perspectives. And that's been huge for me. So is that kind of, if you have somebody that comes up to you and says that, I want to do these things as you're talking about, I want to take responsibility, I want to make a difference, but I just can't in my current situation. What would you say to that person?
Own it, do it. It's easy as that. No, I mean, you got, I mean, it is what it is. You're going to have to grind through that time. If you don't have it with you, I mean, that's what I would tell you. You got to grind, man. You got to keep engaged. You got to be out there the one, because sooner or later, dude, if you go out there and you do your own training, you go 4 stores by yourself, you're doing mask ups, you're in your gear, sooner or later, there's going to be other people on that crew, at least one. Say it's a 4-person crew. There's going to be at least one that's going to be seeing it, whether they're seeing you get better, whatever it is, or they just like what you have. They want it. They're going to want it. So, and a lot of times, I mean, you're going to go through probably more of they're going to try to drag you down to their level, no matter what, up front. So you got to get through that, and then it'll start coming up, because then they're going to know that you are real. Because a lot of times that's all they're trying to do is, you have to prove to them basically that you're real, that you're not just doing this for show. It's not just something else that Red 3, crew has instilled in you, and then you go over there and then you just become lazy just like the rest of them. No, if you keep doing it, they're like, okay, this dude's serious and he's on it and he's going to stay on it. So maybe we need to, jump in and help out. And if they don't, they don't. But if you keep doing it, somebody probably will join in. But then you get shipped out and you've stayed, you've maintained and you've bettered yourself the whole time, and then go infect somebody else somewhere else. And honestly, like, we have a huge opportunity as instructors going around teaching and everything else within our own department. I mean, that's kind of my goal now, is kind of changing mindset there, is like everywhere we go, trying to take somebody with me. And somebody, I don't remember if it was you, LJ, or it was one of the other classes, or somebody was just like, I think it might've just been at the conference itself at Les Lucard. It was them telling everybody there, like, oh, that's awesome, you're here, man, first time here. Next year, you bring somebody else. Somebody won a couple of conference passes, and they were like, cool, guess what? You got a free pass next year. Bring somebody with you next year. Like that.
Yeah, that was during the banquet Saturday night.
Yeah. So that was like, but no, it's, just the conferences that we go to, we have the ability to keep passing it on or get guys engaged. So why not? Like, I mean, I've got a great lifestyle. I love my wife, I love my family, I love my job, career. The Woods door is just by far superseded anything we ever thought. And we have a huge opportunity to just keep passing it along and get training to those people out there that need it. So
yeah, I don't know if you guys ever heard the quote, I call that drinking the Kool-Aid. If you can get somebody to go to these outside conferences and drink the Kool-Aid, we're doing big things. And man, I had a guy that graduated my academy about a year ago now, and he's on my shift, came through my firehouse. Came through the academy like at 42 years old, and the dude, just a hoss, man. He just got it. But I took him to Arkansas with me in October, and he got to be around Pfluger and Tom Hollick and a bunch of dudes that with the daggone push, and he went and did a couple other things while we were there. But it's about asking people to come to these conferences with you. It's inviting people. Hey man, I got this conference coming up last weekend of March down in Oklahoma City. And why don't we get one guy off each shift, go down there with me? Hey, you want to ride along with me? You know, you just I think when you I think when you personally invite people to these conferences and to go learn outside of your department, I would hope that they think, man, that guy just asked me to go to a conference, even though I'm not going to get to see him because I'll be speaking at the Cowboy Conference in March. But if I can take one or two people with me and they get to go do some hot tracks, man, they're drinking the Kool-Aid. Next thing you know, they're fired up for the job for the next 6, 8, 10 months. But on the flip side of that, I don't know if you guys, when I was on the weekly scrap quite a while back, but one of the questions that somebody asked Corley and I was this: it said, he stated that, I guess it was kind of a question, but what he said is our chief and our training chief do not want to see us outside of our department or outside of our firehouse. They don't want to see us outside training. They literally do not want to see us outside of our firehouse unless we're on a call. And he said, what should I do? My answer to that kid, and I think he was kind of young. I think I Facebook stalked him. He wasn't very old, hadn't been on the job for very long, I don't think. But I literally told him, if I were you, I would be looking at other departments around your area, or if you're willing to pick up and move, go somewhere, get out of that culture and start applying at other places. Because that, to me, when you have a chief and a training chief telling your crews that is absolutely asinine to me. And that's a chief that his ass should be fired right then and there. I mean, and I'll just be point blank with you. There is zero need to have that type of leadership. And if I lived in that city, I wouldn't trust those guys. I wouldn't walk across the street with them.
Yeah.
And that's
very, very complacent mindset, because to me, all that states is that we've got it all figured out. You don't get anything from anywhere else. Everything you get comes from here. And it just, it is scary.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You bring that up, that leads to another thing that I really wanted to kind of hear both of your thoughts on. And you know, I do a class for our recruits during the academy, just kind of digging into a lot of deeper stuff. As far as, you know, a lot of people say they're just here to help people, but it's got to be about something bigger than that, and a lot more purpose driven kind of a class. But part of that class is, I don't think a lot of us really truly understand the responsibility that we have accepted by being a firefighter, or the commitment that it's going to take to achieve that. I just don't think either we don't really understand it, or we're just completely ignoring it. And I don't know which one is more scary. I guess ignoring it is probably more scary. But do you understand what I'm saying, LJ? Is that something you think is part of the problem?
I think there are people that get on the job and they had no clue what to expect. You would hope that the academy would wash those people out, but we all have people on our departments that somehow they made it through, and now they're not into the job, they're just on the job, and they're going to spend the next 20, 25, 30 years just going through the motions of it, because they never expected what is going on within the firehouse and running the calls and being up all night. And it sucks to have those people, but everybody has them. And I don't know how we filter those people out. I'm not on the hiring committee. I usually don't have anything to do with recruits until they come to the academy. But I don't know, Jeremy, I don't know how to wash those people out of and filter them out of the process. I don't, because you can have people that can come in and they interview great, they test great, whatever your process is, they make it through the academy to get on the job, and then it's just half-ass motions from there on out. And you know, you hope that you'd have solid enough leadership for those people that maybe they would turn things around. But a lot of times those people just never get it. They just never get it. And I don't know what to do with those people. That's above my pay grade. But man, that's a tough question, Jeremy. I wish there's a way we could filter those people out a lot better throughout the hiring process, but that's a tough question, man. I don't know what I'd say to that.
It really does, man. Honestly, if you haven't read Get It On, it's pretty inspirational when it comes to that topic alone, because he basically states in there, like, of course, we have no control who comes through, right? That's just, we're on shift, whether, even if you're in the train division and doing that, like, more than likely your job is to train them, certify them, and put them on shift. Like, you get some of the responsibility is on the crews on shift to be able to take these guys home, these guys, and find what they're good at and use them for that. They're a part of the team. So, and of course, just like any team, you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? And it truly does. I mean, if you have one of those guys on your crew and you've given up on him, it's one thing. I mean, if he's, and like you brought up Frank Piscuso, and he, of course, his book is, he's a phenomenal speaker in the book, but he has the 3 U's. And I think it's unaware, unwilling, and unable, like, or unable's in the middle. So, and there's 3 levels to that. And if you progress through those and they're just completely unwilling to do it, then yeah, there's a problem. Then basically discipline and, being written up and then taking that track at that point. But if you can keep them in those top 2 tiers, and just finding out why they're doing what they're doing, and then giving them the skill set to do it, hopefully we can pour in them. But as far as the book and Kenny Thomas, that whole thing, man, it was like they had a dude that nobody wanted to give into, and he basically stated, like, no, he's part of the team and he's going to be trained just like everybody else. He's going to be a part of every deal, mission, everything we're doing, training wise, all that stuff. And then when it came down to it, he was one of the ones that basically saved their ass on the streets of Mogadishu. I mean, legit, like, it's just inspirational. Like, don't give up on them. Like, just they're going to be good at something. And if you exploit what they're good at, it might be talking to the community or community events. That might be their personality trait and just that. And they might not be as good at firefighting, but if you can make the connection and support them in that realm, then of course you create buy-in, you create trust as a leader with them. And then they start wanting to do the things that you want to do and the stuff that you're into. And then next thing you know, everybody's better. So it's hard. It is easy to write somebody off sometimes, and sometimes you pour and pour and pour into them. And we've been through it where it's just like, all right, man, you just ain't getting it. It's time. You're taking the whole crew down. It's time for you to find another home, maybe find another leader that can hopefully get to you, because you might not be the right one for that person. So
yeah, that has been something that, if you are a leader, you got to really find that balance, because you don't want to be somebody that gives up on another individual. But at the same time, what I had to learn, what Justin and I had to kind of figure out, is that there is a point where once you cross that line of how much you're putting into them, you're taking away from people that are truly needing and wanting it, just to give it to somebody that won't do anything with it. So there is that time that you just got to say, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you. You need to go somewhere else. Like Justin said, we need to put somebody in that seat that's going to take advantage of what we have to offer. But it's tricky, man. It's a very slippery place, especially if you're looking at it from a formal leader's perspective. You hate to be that person that from the outside, it looks like you're giving up, but you truly know you gave everything in an attempt to make a difference. And if that's what if you know that's what you gave, then it's just, you can't do anything else about it. It's just the way it is. But no, I think that's some great stuff from both of you. Justin, kind of you mentioned earlier, you were talking about, even if you're a single person on a crew, and get out and do things, and we've been through that as well. Just get out and do it. And hopefully you'll pick up a person. Hopefully you'll pick up another person, and it'll snowball and grow from there. And you kind of mentioned, you might get that personality or that person that wants to tear you down, to keep you down at their level, to make you not look better than them and all that. And that's one of the saddest things I think I see in the fire service. I don't really understand that, but it truly is sad to see somebody that is going to deliberately try to take away the drive and the passion and the love of the job of somebody else. And like I said, it almost kind of breaks my heart to see that. But for me, I've been the person that has allowed that. I have allowed other input, others' opinions, others' words to take that stuff from me. But that's just it. I allowed it. I don't think that anybody can truly take those things from you without you willingly giving them away. And so for me, that's another kind of big piece of my message is don't surrender that power. Don't give them the power to take that from you. You have to protect those things just like anything else of value. And so that being said, that's kind of the mantra. Do not surrender the power for others to take away your passion, your love for the job, your drive to continue to get better. And so kind of that thought, just throwing it out there, do you guys have anything to add to that or to different opinions of it?
I think there's so many things in life that can be taken from other people. Your goals, they can be stripped from you from anytime, any place, anywhere. IRS, they can come in and take your business, your home, your cars. But I truly believe that the one thing that people cannot steal from you is your passion. No matter what, whether it's in the fire service, law enforcement, CEO. I mean, if you're passionate about that, there is nobody that should ever be able to take your passion away from you, ever. And if they do take that passion away from you, that person, man, get away from them. That's all I could say, because there is something with them that you do not need to be surrounding yourself with. But I truly believe that passion is the one thing that can never be stripped away from you or stolen from you, no matter what you do for a living.
Yeah, 100%, man. Your passion, your drive, everything that's given away. It's not taken away. Like you give up, essentially. You're allowing somebody else to beat you if you're losing that, for sure, man. And I guess, and honestly, like you see guys, that are completely fired up for the job for, say years and years, and then all of a sudden they go and, things just start beating them down, whether it's life in general, a department, whatever. But I guess that's where it's like you see such potential in people and you're just like, man, why are you letting them win? Like it's just such a crazy mindset to be like, nah, man, it just is what it is these days, man. We just can't do anything. It's like, well, just because you're allowing them to not let you do anything. I mean, not everybody has the opportunities that we have, but we can provide some of that for them if we just stay into the job and keep doing it. And like, it might not be the guy on your shift that you're changing. It might be the guy on the other, the next crew coming in, and you tell him what you did for the day. So it might not be that you get guys on your crew. It might be you're getting one of the guys on the next crew or the other shift. And it's just like, man, you can have a profound effect if you just stay into the job and stay passionate and stay positive. Give a shit.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to circle kind of into this type of conversation, because I don't want the main body of this content being about the problems and all of the bad stuff. I want to be able to circle back and really hit hard on what we can do about whatever we're facing. And that's kind of part of, or that's the one of the foundations of it. Once you have that, I mean, you got to protect it. You got to make sure you're doing what you can to keep it going. But like we started out with, one of the other big pieces of that is just doing what you can, taking responsibility of your little circle. And that's, for me, another kind of growing area that I had to figure out is, once I started kind of getting back into things and really getting that passion back, and finding that I had a message that I just almost had to give, or else it was eating me up inside. I wanted to go bigger. I wanted to do more than just kind of affect my little crew. I wanted to do stuff for the department, and those opportunities just were not, it wasn't happening. And it was starting to really kind of bring me down, starting to frustrate and build resentment. And I just had to continue to say, it's okay if you're just affecting your crew. It's okay. It would be great if you had the opportunity to reach more people, but today you don't. So it's okay to have a great day, to learn something, to grow in some way with these other crew members, and just change the fire service, change your department the only way you can, by having a great crew that is prepared and ready to go today. And that's really, I just have to, I guess it's just the way my mind is. It just wants to get out of the box, and you gotta kind of keep it focused on your control areas, your area that you can influence. And so that's something that I've had to continually check myself on. But is there any other kind of advice that you guys can give in that area of making sure that we're not waiting for others to give us what we need, but doing it ourselves? What are you smiling at, Justin?
Man, I mean, in all honesty, as friends and colleagues and everything that's out there, like, to watch you grow, honestly, over the last 5.5 years. I didn't get to really spend much time with you before that. Like, we were put together. I feel like we were put together for a reason. It happened for something beyond what we had control of. So, but to watch you where you've grown, and your leadership and everything about you, your circle that you have right now, and I truly believe that your circle will grow infinitely, or at least I hope. And then I make officer and am able to continue to work under you. So I think you have the ability, whether you give yourself credit or not, but that next level is definitely calling for you.
If you can't tell, LJ, he's been subtly, subconsciously, like Jedi mind tricking me into being interested in taking the battalion chief test. So I'm trying
We may have talked about that last weekend without you knowing it.
I'm sure you did. I felt it. I felt something going on, the disturbance.
Yeah, we
Well,
definitely
what about
talked
you?
about that.
Do you have any kind of other nuggets or anything in what we're talking about?
I think when it just comes around to your crew, you got to control what you can control within your circle. And I read something yesterday that said, if the people in your circle are not encouraging you to grow, you're not in the circle, you're in a cage. And
That's
it's
good.
funny that I think all three of us have brought up our circles, but we have to control what we can control. And I think that if you can get that solid crew cohesion, and you have a crew of guys or gals, whether there's only three of you at a single house, or, like my firehouse, we have, 8, 9, 10 people on shift at one house, and, truck company and an engine company rolling out deep with personnel. When you can control those people, and you can live that life in the firehouse with humility, and become better, I think other crews see that humility, and you don't even need to say anything, because I think a lot of times your actions can relate to them. And I think if we all did that better job of controlling our controls of our own people on our own shifts, not being dirt bags and starting crew shift wars and or shift wars and different things, just show up and do your dang job and do it with humility and some grace and some love. I think you can really feed that over into other crews. And the one thing about the fire service guys, change doesn't happen overnight. I mean, yeah, you might have somebody get fired, or, people come and go, but, as far as change, it never happens overnight. That's one thing about our craft, is that change takes a long time sometimes. But I think if we can just hold fast and continue to do our jobs every day that we walk into the firehouse, I think we can make that difference on other shifts. And I think when you start making that difference in other shifts, it leaks over into other firehouses if you have, a department with multi firehouses. But we got to walk in humility, and we've got to be doing the right thing every time in order to make that difference and control the controllables.
Absolutely. And I guess a great next step for this, before we kind of start wrapping it up, is, we're trying to bring it around back to what we can do, the positive aspect of this, and how we can truly affect things for the better. And, both of you are hitting on it right there. And it's just doing the little things just because they're the right things to do. Justin kind of barely touched on our story. I promise you, I would not be sitting here talking to anybody right now over Zoom because I have a podcast if I wasn't stationed with him. He is the reason I'm here right now. And there have been lots of other pieces along the way that have contributed to who I am and what I've done. But it was that particular time and that particular person just investing in me, even if he's got a really sneaky way of doing it. I didn't know it was going on, but that's what it just him doing something to give to me, either if I knew it or not, has allowed all this other stuff to happen. So, it doesn't take you doing big things at once. It doesn't take you learning huge mind-blowing equations and all this every day. It's just a little bit of growth every day, just a little bit of influence every day, taking advantage of whatever situation you have. Something else I've had to learn is I can't control the amount of time I have with my people, the people on my crew. I've been frustrated several times that people that I really like working with have been taken away, but I had to learn I can't control that. What I can control is I can control the influence that we have on them while we have them, and the impact we can have on their lives, whether if it's one shift or if it's 2 years, whatever it is, we can control that impact and influence on their life. So that's the goal, is to take advantage of that, because I never know who I just might impact like Justin did with me. And LJ, I remember the first time I met you sitting around at a table at a Fools event. I had no idea who you were, but just listening to you talk in a conversation that had no agenda, just a conversation, I could tell that you were somebody that I want to get to know, because you had just the attitude and the passion that it's attracted, or it attracts people like us. You want to be around those people. And so I share that to say it is so important to take advantage of the situations you have with people. I used to be in the mindset of, we had a traveler come in, well, we'll just not do anything today. We'll wait till our buddy's back. Well, you're losing that opportunity to do something with that person that's traveling. And so again, another thing that I had to learn. And so just taking advantage of those situations, doing what you can when you can is obviously visually huge, because that's what we're doing, or that's why we're doing it right now. It's created so much just because somebody cared. So very worth sharing. I just wanted to throw that out there. But that being said, kind of final thoughts or anything else you guys want to get into before we kind of wrap it up?
I'll go and let LJ close this out, but it's very off-putting that neither one of you have your mustaches. So I do not appreciate that.
The first thing I said to him when he came on is like, man, I thought I was gonna be, just really, I was embarrassed that I didn't have mine, because I knew he was gonna come in strong, but there he goes. And
I was
so
like,
he made me feel welcome.
Looking at both of you, and I was like, man, I swear LJ just had that mustache on.
You guys look weird.
I was having to check back Facebook. I was like, yeah, he did. I'm pretty sure. So,
all right. Yeah, I did. I shaved it off a couple of days. So once a year, I typically shave it off. And I was telling Jeremy I wasn't happy with its performance for the past couple of weeks. So I'm going to grow it back bigger and better. How about that? No, my son said, Dad, you look 2 years younger. And I'm like, you couldn't have said 8 or 10. You had to say 2. And then my daughter,
who cares about 2?
And my daughter was not impressed. So, I'll be growing that dude back. Trust me. But no, closing thoughts. I think both of you guys hit on it that we need to be relational within our firehouses and our departments with our people. Whether someone gets rovered over to you for a shift or a tour, they need to know that we care and that we give a shit about them, because everybody that comes onto the job and gets into the job is looking for leaders, but very few people are willing to step up and be that person. And we all need to be the mentors that we never had. And I think, you two guys and a bunch of guys that we all associate with, I think our circle are those people. And I think if we're gonna make a difference on the future of our craft, then it's got to be up to us, because no one else is going to do it. There's enough dirt bags in the fire service that they're just here for a paycheck, and they're just here to collect the benefits and go on about their day, and they could care less if they ever have a chance to make a grab or whatever the case may be. But I think those of us who long for that because we care and we love our people, we got to be the ones that are in there making the difference and showing people that we care, not only through our words, but our actions, and that they know that we love them. So I think that's how I'd probably end this deal, just by saying that.
Right on. Justin, you got any serious last thoughts?
Yeah, and it's honestly just it's a diversity book that I'm reading now, and I'm just getting to know people in different generations. There's always blame going up and down, of course, generationally speaking. You always want to blame somebody, but usually if you're blaming a generation that's below you, you're probably the result of why they are the way they are. There's events and everything else that play into their mindsets and everything else, but truly, everybody that's getting on the fire service, it's always something, and somebody's got to take them, lead them, and teach them whatever they don't know. Well, I keep blaming it, but one of the lines it states in here is we must read them before we lead them, and basically helping leaders capitalize on what each generation has to offer a team and leverage it as a competitive advantage. And I really like that last part, leveraging it for a competitive advantage. Anything, of course, fire service alpha type personalities, if we can make it feel like competitive, then we usually hone in on it a little bit more and we really do something with it. But just reading, and it goes back to being relational with people, getting to know them, what makes them tick, read them before we lead them. Don't day one start demanding all kinds of stuff. Let's get to know them before we actually lead them. So that is last thought there, man. Thanks for the invite.
You bet.
Yes,
so
100%.
LJ, you're doing some kind of getting stretching yourself a little bit. I remember not very long ago, you were super nervous about your first presentation, and now I seem to see you all over the place. So kind of, is that something you're going to be pursuing a lot more? Do you want to keep that going?
Yeah, Justin Lorenzen and the Mid America Fools chapter gave me a chance. Would that have been in 2021, I believe?
Yeah.
The
Yep.
first time I came down there, and they allowed me to put this presentation on, and next thing I know, I'm at another place and another place. And two and a half weeks ago, I was clear down in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. It took me 9.5 hours to get down there from my house. And I was in Nebraska last weekend. I got the rest of the month off, and I'll be down there on the Tulsa area March 4th, and down at the Cowboy Conference the last weekend of March. And now I've got a couple of dates up in Nebraska. But it's just, man, I'm humbled that my message has reached people, and that it's impacted people. This last week in Nebraska, man, and I say this humbly, my phone all day on Monday was just blowing up with just positive stuff. And I put a lot of hours into that PowerPoint presentation of my lecture. And it humbles me pretty greatly that I've had an impact on people. And man, I just want to keep going, and I'm trying to get another PowerPoint going that's not really a leadership one, but it's called the Impact of One, and how we can, one person can greatly impact an organization, big or small. And I'm at the very beginning stages of that. But this tailboard leadership deal, leading from bottom to top, has been a big hit, and I've been pretty surprised with it. So it's, as a guy who's at the firefighter level and driver level and gets to act up on occasion. Lately, it's been quite a bit. I start out at the firefighter level and work my way through the company officers and up to the chiefs, and how we can all do a better job of leading, and especially starting out that informal level leadership. And it's been a big hit, and it's been really neat to watch people and how they react to it and grow.
That's awesome. I really appreciate just what you have to offer and your willingness to offer it. And it's funny how you do something that you're so nervous about just one time, and you figure out, man, I really enjoy that. It feels good especially when you get that good feedback. So I definitely respect you kind of pushing yourself out there, and look to see you much more. So if you have people listening that want to get a hold of you to ask you about any of that or whatever, how can they get a hold of you?
You can do my email, geistecfd17@yahoo.com, or find me on Facebook and shoot me a Facebook message, and I'll get you my contact information, and we'll share your thoughts, and we can go from there. Pretty simple. Perfect. I'm a pretty laid back, humble guy, so we'll make it work.
No entourage yet, huh?
No, that ain't never gonna happen.
So Justin, like we talked about at first, you made a trip up to Les Lukert as well. This was a very special kind of thing for you and your company. So tell us a little bit about kind of the reason you went up there, and let us know the new direction and focus of Wood's Doors.
The Les Lukert Conference, man, for one, shout out to them and allowing us to work with them to be able to bring our product up there and basically incorporate us with the conference and do everything we did with them. But the whole thing that tied together there was as the Wood's forcible entry door prop, man, we came together, we decided it's time to start giving back. We got to a point, man, of course, the American Fire Service and internationally has been a huge support for us and blessed our families beyond what we ever thought would happen. So being blessed in that, we wanted to, essentially give back, start blessing other department people any which way we can, whether it's them just simply hitting us up for registration fees for conferences or anything else, looking to go to conferences, us tagging along, trying to become instructors, whatever it is, man, hit us up if you're interested. But then beyond that, we, basically decided to dedicate at least one door prop a year to donate to whether a volunteer department, career department. But we started out with, hitting the fabrication shop and hitting the powder coat, everything. and everybody was in agreement with it. Everything's being donated. There's no cost associated with this prop except for our time. You know, they've got money and everything that they're losing out on at the shop level, and it's our time going out and doing these things. That's it. It's time and effort. So with that, the shop owner, he had two cousins that were up in the Nebraska area at Seward Volunteer Fire Department years ago that passed away. They weren't line of duty deaths, but one was a motorcycle wreck and one was a heart attack, but they were both volunteers. And it, you know, it hit the community hard and everything else because they were within like 6 months of each other. Well, they were second generation firefighters. And then one of them's son is currently on Seward Volunteer. So he had family up there, and he just simply said, man, if, you know, we had the idea, he said, at some point the next couple of years, if you can make this happen with this volunteer department, that would be awesome. And I was like, dude, that's exactly what we were looking for. So a personal touch, just to know, I mean, the situation versus just giving it away to a random person or department, you know, and whatever. So it was a huge personal touch as far as that goes. And then David, the owner of the shop, he wrote a personal letter that it was a humbling experience to get up there and to be able to read at the conference and then to dedicate that up to the Seward Volunteer Fire Department. So huge opportunity. I mean, for the door alone, just, I mean, yeah, it got us exposure and everything else, but man, it feels so good just to give back. Like it's just awesome to be able to give back, man, you know. And even two of the firefighters driver that was there at the conference, we did a little forcible entry contest, and they did the 2-person forcible entry and they ended up winning it. So it was like even better. Like they're honed individuals. They're going to use it. It's like, it's so awesome. It's not just going to be built and sit and collect cobwebs in a gear storage or something else. So it was a huge opportunity. And like I said, without the Les Luker conference, we kind of paired it with that because of the timeline. And with Taylor and everybody else, Curtis, that we came in contact with that conference, man, I hope it's a mainstay for the next several years, trying to get up there, and whether it's teaching or just supporting the conference any way we can. So it was.
And you
awesome.
said that Les Lukert actually used to be on Seward as well, right?
Yeah,
so
I kind of botched
cool.
botched a little bit of the presentation there because that was a fly that I was really wanting to bring back into after being told that was simply just that, you know, not only are we awarding it to the Seward, you know, the Les Lukert is where he got his start, was the Seward Volunteer Fire Department. So that was another really cool tie that it got to go to Seward. So pretty awesome.
That's great, man. And I definitely want to make sure that people hear this, because, you know, you're not just involved in a company trying to push a product. You and the other members of the team are trying to make a difference any way you can. So it's great to see and hear. How can people get a hold of you if they're wanting to just get a hold of you personally, or ask about the Woods forcible entry doors?
As far as the door kit goes, it's website woodsforcibleentry.com. You can check out everything there, everything we have to offer, training aids, possibly where we're going to be to see it at a vendor show. We're really trying to expand this year as far as getting into the vendor shows and getting the props set up. It's not an easy task, but you know, it's something that we're going to try to take on and just get it out there a little bit more. And, beyond that, of course, Justin, man, even phone number, text, whatever, 405-637-4718. There's really no personal email. Everything goes through the prop email, which is woodsfedoorkit@gmail.com. So that's how it is, man.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys' time. I really enjoyed it. It didn't disappoint. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this for a while, especially, you know, getting both of you together is a pretty cool thing, especially after y'all just met and you both had a big impact on my life. So thank you for your time, and look forward to the next one.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeremy. Justin, see you guys.
Yeah, man. We'll see you in OKC.
Absolutely. Let's rock it.
All right, man.
Until next time,
guys.
stay safe, stay humble, and do work.